Welcome everybody to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton music moments and everything in between. I'm Sick Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson, or am I?
I hope so because I don't have I can't do clones. And I can't do clones, bro.
No, I'm sorry, bro. Listen, this is what I'll tell you. If you see me, no, not that you see me like this, pause, but if you see me like 2024, whenever everybody hears this, if you see me somewhere just like super chiseled out, like on some Gucci Man type stuff, clone. Not saying I don't want to be in shape, but if I'm in that much of shape, it's like, nah, man.
But how you doing, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. It's crazy because I know a couple episodes ago you were talking about how you were feeling a little under the weather. Yesterday, I sneezed like once or twice, and then I've been feeling a little iffy, but I'm good. I'm gonna buy some medicine after we get done recording, but I feel pretty good though. I'm not too messed up. How about you, man?
Man, it's at the time of recording, we're getting closer to the holiday Christmas. So just trying to make it through the end of the work week and then try to enjoy the time off I got for that. So, you know, just pacing.
Hey, man, I feel the same way because after that, then the next week after is New Year's, and it's just like, man, where did the time go? Part of me is like, I'm ready for it. At the same time, I'm like, am I really ready for it? We could probably slow down a bit. I don't know. I'm still debating on that, but
Yes. But this is going to be our attempt at a podcast because we are checking out the Charles Hamilton tape, Charles Hamilton's attempt at swag.
yes, sir. So here's the funny thing, right? So I've heard this tape previously before,
Mm.
and maybe me just getting the time messed up because this tape came out in 2011. And I'm like, yeah, came out 2011, which it did. It was not recorded in 2011. Did you know that?
Yeah. So, all right. Tell me when it was actually recorded because then now I feel like I have the reverse of what you're talking about.
All right. So let me make sure I get this correct. So the project was released February 8th, 7th of 2011. So
Mhm.
it came out 2011, but it was made in 2009. There's no actual date when it says like when it was made, but 2009 was actually made, but it wasn't released till 2011. And I felt like I heard it earlier than that.
That's what I'm saying. I felt like
Looked
it
on
came
YouTube. I'm
out.
like,
Yeah, I felt like it came out in 2009.
no. I mean, it was recorded 2009, but no. And the
Hmm.
thing is, I'm like, am I tripping? Am I not? But it says February 8th, 2011. But I could have sworn I heard it earlier, like 2010. But
Hmm.
at the same time, I've been seeing a lot of things about the Mandela effect. Maybe it did come out in 2009, and then people were just like, no, it didn't. Men in Black, and then we're like, uh, when did this tape come out?
Yeah,
Coincidence?
probably. Uh, yeah, but so your first listen, how did you like it in 2011? I guess.
Okay, whenever I heard it,
Yeah.
first time hearing it, thought it was a cool tape. It's one of those things where I looked at the cover art and I was like, it's an interesting cover art. You see Charles on there, like there's a bunch of money and it's like rain in the background too, and he has this face like, And then the name of the project is pretty interesting. Charles Hamilton's attempt at swag.
Mhm.
We know that Charles has said before he has that swaggerless swag. He doesn't have swag and whatnot. And I guess this is his way of being like, okay, let me tackle this in another way. Let me attempt to have some swag because at this point in time, there were a lot of people talking about swag and everything. But how did you feel about it when you first heard it?
I remember really liking this tape. I remember, I guess 2011. Now I don't know. It doesn't sound right. But in 2011, I really like this tape. I think, yeah, I was like, not yeah, we were knee deep in the basketball season at that point, and I feel like I gravitated to a lot of these songs and was really feeling it. So this was another interesting, way back machine to figure out how good this really was.
True. Something that's crazy because it's being 2011. Speaking of the number 11, I did some research and back in the day when for Charles's 27th birthday. You made a top 27, and I believe this tape was number 11.
Oh wow, that's
Oh.
funny. That's hilarious.
I know it's just something I was just scrolling back and I'm like, oh snap, 11. That's a little crazy, you know. The numbers, man, the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. But one thing I will say about this project, Charles Hamilton described this project as cheesy music, and this is in quotes. So please forgive me. Don't shoot the messenger, y'all.
Uh-huh.
This project is cheesy music, but since niggas got mad swag, I might as well use my swaggerless swag to outswag these swaggots. And I do a terrible job too. LOL. Those
Wow.
are not my words.
I know you're just quoting. It's fine.
I'm quoting. So
wow. Okay. I could have not used that, but it's fine. It's fine.
hey, I didn't say the word.
I know.
Didn't say it.
I know.
Hey,
Like,
it's kind of
I feel like people try to get that off to that word, and I was like, "Hey, dog, nah." Like, yeah, nah.
I get you. It's interesting because 2000, whether we're talking about 2009, 2011, still within that time period, there was that whole swag era,
Yeah.
Tumblr, everyone, you know, wearing their best fits and whatnot. And even if you look at it now, it's just like it's the same thing with fashion all the time. It's like that's what we were wearing back then. And, oh
Yeah.
my God. Like, but at the time it was fly. It was cool. And it's the funny thing about whether Charles has swag or he doesn't have it, we used to have it, we don't have it anymore, we got it back again. It's like swag, swagger, whatever you want to call it. It's up in the air. It changes, you know. So
Yeah. It's a short tape, so it's 9 songs. So
right.
I think this is one of those ones we can kind of go song by song. So let's just open it up with "I accept my apology," and we'll get into the parentheses words as we go along.
Okay.
Um, but I love this song. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, I for whatever reason when I listened to this for this for this episode, I was like, this order is weird. It felt odd because I was like, maybe I had it in a different order at one time, or I can't remember what happened. But I
Yeah.
don't remember this being an intro. But this is probably one of my favorite intros ever. I love this song.
Ain't nobody fucking with Hamilton, damn it. I got more bitches than the Animal Planet. Y'all can be fly, I'm land, air, and sea. I don't care if she busy, she stand there for me. CH, the hot and cold knobs on your sink. Got your girl polishing me, hot as can be. I get brains like whatever your brain like.
If I don't even know if I ever did a top 50 song list. That's even way harder than the project one.
Yeah.
But this will be up there, man. I really love this song. It's the hook is fun. I think ooh, I want to say the sample is, do you know the sample?
I wish I looked it up. I forgot to look it up. That's my fault. Are
No,
you looking
it's
at it right
fine.
now?
I'll look it up while you're talking about it in a
Okay.
minute. But yeah,
Okay.
it's great verses. It's a fun song. And I don't know. It was just a charming song for me.
So it's funny because when I first heard the project, I remember this being the first song and just the sample it is. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what he's doing with it and whatnot. And then, hey, this is interesting of how he's starting off a tape that's supposed to be about his attempts at swag, and this beat doesn't really sound swaggery, you know, but let me see what he's going to do with it. I think it's a good song though. Like I said, when I first heard it, I wasn't really a fan of it, but I'm like, I like it now. I feel like if you don't have this on here, it's missing. Like it ruins the tape, kind of. Like it's one of those weird things where you could be like, it's like it fits there and it doesn't fit anywhere else. It needs to be at the beginning of the tape, and you gotta. It grew on me. You know what I mean? It's one of those songs where I'm like, you know what? I actually really do like it just because of the unswaggery swaggerness. I think, like you said, that charm that it has. I really like it personally. I guess maybe the sample threw me off in the beginning, but I do like the song. Did you find the sample?
Somebody's saying, I wonder if this is actually the song. Let me see. But I agree. Like now that I think about it, it does seem like this has to be at the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because, like how do I explain it? Just the intro itself, because it's almost like replacing the whole, why does every mixtape have to have an intro with
Yeah.
the other thing? So it's a little bit different. I guess the sample is this. Let me see if I can hear it. Yeah. So
All
this is by the group called The Raindrops. The song is called "The Kind of Boy You Can't Forget," and that's where that
right. Okay.
like. So that's yeah. That's hey man. That's a 1963 sample, by the way.
Makes sense. You know what it reminds me of, kinda like the vibe it gives me.
Mm.
Um, what song is it? The Rock Lobster sample. What
Yeah,
song is that?
that's from Family
It
Guy.
gives me kind of like, yeah, but you know that I know he sampled that on one of the projects we were
Right?
talking
Yeah.
about. But I was like, it gives me that type of vibe. But um, now I know I've talked to you about this before, not
Mm.
even about this tape, but the name of this actual song, not the I part, but the "Accept My Apology."
Mm.
Do you remember me bringing that up to you before? Because I brought it up to the actual group, the Twitter group we got. You remember that?
Vaguely, but for the people who aren't in the group, remind us.
All right, so this is pretty crazy, and this is what's so great about us having this podcast, because there's so much stuff that has happened back in the day that has gotten erased or deleted and whatnot. So of course you guys will see, okay, accept my apology. Okay, he spelled apology different. Why did he spell it like that? Well, accept my apology, whatever. So when I first looked at this back in the day, what happened was I was like, okay, accept my apology. There's a rapper named Apology that actually he sampled, or his boys sampled, the Brooklyn Girls song, Shorty Swing My Way.
Yep.
They sampled it and whatnot, and they did a good job of it. I think his song was called Swing My Way by Apology or whoever.
Hmm.
But Apology went on this video, it's on YouTube, it's gone now, but he was basically like, I've never heard of Charles Hamilton. Y'all thinking I'm copying him or jacking him. Y'all crazy for this and that, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if Charles actually said something to him to make him say that, because he just went on a YouTube page that's not even Charles. This is like on the Sega Hamilton page or whatever.
Got it.
And I'm like, what is this about? So I guess maybe there were a word debate battle, whatever, between Charles and Apollo.
Mm.
But Charles probably was like, you know what? I'm gonna just say my bad. Whatever happened. Or it could have been a slight jab to him or whatever. But that's why that's called accept my apology. And maybe because he has a line in there saying that he's like the letter G in Spanish, or
Yeah.
J, because the guy apology is Hispanic. I'm not sure if he's what
Oh,
nationality
that's
he is, but
right, but of some type of Hispanic or Spanish descent. Yeah.
yeah. So that was something pretty interesting, and I wish it
That's
was
some good
still
insight,
online.
though. That's some
What's
good
what?
insight. That's some good insight because I didn't realize that was the case.
I didn't either until, like I said, it was like when I first heard the song, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then it was like maybe a year or two later, I came back to the song, came back to the project, probably in 2012 or something, seen the comment, and I'm like, whoa, what's up with that? But pretty interesting thing, just in case y'all didn't know. Maybe I don't know if Charles could actually tell us, like, hey, what happened with that, or if it was just some random encounter.
Yeah, random. Well, I'm putting random in quotation marks. I'd find it hard to believe that he didn't know who he was. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that was a lie. The lie detector determined that that was a lie.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I'm gonna go with that. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't know if that's true or not, but it just come on, bro.
I got you. Only reason I say that because normally, especially at that time, Charles would like put something on his blog about it. You know what I mean? And I don't remember Charles ever really addressing it. I feel like Charles at the time probably just took the high road and was like, whatever. I don't want any
Yeah,
more issues because of the whole Black Spade thing and everyone else saying
yeah,
this and that. So
yeah. But yeah, like I said, I think we both agree, really, really good record. Follow that up with "do" in quotation marks, but the song's called "Breakups." Um, it is of all the songs that are actual songs, it's probably my least favorite.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's my least favorite. It's crazy because I like the verses. The verses are good. I think the verses are really good. I'm not a fan of the hook.
So for me, it's funny because I know on, like I said, a previous episode, Charles had that song Random Verse. And then the hook, he was like, oh, this is just a random verse. I'm like, I get it. It's a silly hook or whatever. This hook I actually like. The song grew on me because the first when I heard it, I'm like, but I love the verses. The hook, I like it a lot more now. And I think with silly hooks like this, I appreciate it a lot more. And it's funny because he's talking about, whatever girl he's talking about, you don't appreciate what I'm trying to do, but it don't matter, It's one of those things where the song grew on me as well, like I said, but the hook, I don't know. I like the hook a lot more now. I feel that if there's a certain way that Charles does it, then I'm like, okay, cool. Compared to like the random verse when he was like, it's a random verse. It's a random verse. I think it's part of the swaggerless swag thing that either you like it or you don't. I'm not sure, but I'm cool with it. One thing I did want to bring up, I could be wrong, but I believe there is a Brianna diss in there. Did you catch that?
No.
Okay. I could be wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But it's in the third verse. He says, I don't care how bad you are. You could be from Venus, take a cab to the stars. Here's what's most important. Nice outfit. You sporting it, honey. I wonder, did you get it with the abortion money? Oh, you didn't have an abortion. Funny. So I was making shit up. Of course, it's funny. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was, but at that time, think about it. This was recorded in 2009. When did that punch happen? It happened somewhere around that point in time.
Was it around that time?
It wasn't. It wasn't 2008. It was like 2009. 2000 had to be like 2009. Had to be. Couldn't have been 2010.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because the punch happened before the 6 tapes, right?
Yeah, it happened before the 6 tapes and before he left the label, and
he packed a lot of stuff in 2 years, bro.
Bruh, for real. And the thing is that's so crazy about it. So there's a lot of times where in other songs, other projects, where he reminds people, yo, I told them put the footage out. I told her hit me, whatever, you know what I mean? Because he always talks about I got my hit back later on that night. He's like, yeah, she hit me, but I hit her back that night. Not physically, but
Well, I mean, physically, yes, but not in the sense that
not
right. Yeah, like not in the way that people were weirdly wanting him to do. Yeah, you let some girl punch you. Did you want him to punch her back?
Right.
I was always so confused by that. We're not talking about this, but not today. One day for sure. But just really quick, I just never understood what they wanted him to do in that situation. It was one of those things where it's like, listen, I don't know what you want here.
Right. Me either. But overall, though, I'm cool with the song. I think it's a good song, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's one where I'm like, I wish I liked the hook just a little bit better. Like you're right. Like he will do some silly stuff every night, or not silly. I don't want to because it's a creative decision, right? He takes liberties with how he wants to perform a hook or a verse in certain ways. And this one just isn't for me. Because he's done stuff like this before, and I'm like, oh, this is good, this is fun. Like, I didn't mind That's So Raping hook, right? And you don't like it, so it's some back and forth stuff. But he's right back on track with me on the following track. This is parentheses is not. This is a good one, man. It's. I'm gonna say this a lot. There's a lot of good records on here, but this is fire. I love this.
I'm gonna tell you right now, favorite song.
Okay, yeah,
favorite song. And this is from even back then when I first heard it, because back then when I first heard the first 2 songs, I'm like, okay, all right. Heard this is okay. It's the Keith Sweat sample, whatnot. How the sample gets chopped, the bars in there, the verses, all great verses and whatnot.
Yes.
Just a banger of a song. Just fire. And I don't care when you play the song. And it's funny just what he does with it, because a lot of times, Keith Sweat always begging and complaining on the songs. And what Charles is talking about is like, yo, I don't want no kisses if you don't love me.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, if you don't, all right, cool. But I ain't gonna be begging for you.
Y'all shocked at my gothic wit. I'm smiling, imagine when I get pissed. Wouldn't it be cool if I could kiss the sky and the sky stays the sky? Instead I get kisses. You don't love me. You ain't my homie.
You remember the first two bars in the first one?
The actual verse or the
verse.
Okay, the verse. Hold on. Just say it, because I'm thinking about the second verse. Cause I love that verse. But what's the first thing he says in the
niggas mad they ain't got the same mind as me. Then they get stole on like the shining beat. To talk about blasphemy. He's a sick individual, though.
Hey.
I don't care, solitaire. I'm the king. Fuck a suit, can't call a spade a diamond. Dog, he's so nice, bro.
Yeesh.
Dog, he's so nice. Like that's like, but you're right. These are both like really, really good verses, and it's a good hook too, though.
Yeah,
you know definitely. What I'm saying. Yeah, I want to bring up too, just because this is a tape about swag, right?
Yeah,
and do you think? And this is just again, if it was made in 2009, this would kind of line up. I would have to actually look up when it was actually made. But there was a certain person back around that time who had a song that took the radio by storm and colleges by storm. And that song was called Turn My Swag On. Now, if you remember, Charles and this individual didn't have like the greatest relationship at all. Do you think that these two are, this tape and that song's maybe popularity are connected?
I could see that. I could see that being a thing, because if you guys don't know who we're talking about Soulja Boy Tell 'Em, aka Big Soldier, aka Big Draco.
Yeah.
And at that time, y'all know Charles was very outspoken about what he liked about rap and what he liked about certain artists and what he didn't. If y'all remember, who was it, Ice-T that said hip hop's dead, Soulja Boy eat a dick. And he said, yo, he said you single-handedly killed hip hop. So that is kind of messed up, though. Thinking about it now, I'm like, bro, Soulja Boy was like 17, 18, 19. Bro, he's just trying to have fun. But at the same time, though, Soulja Boy and Charles is around. They're all around. We're on the same age as them. So Charles is someone that's like, okay, I'm around your age bracket, but I'm not doing that much silly stuff that you're doing. Like, you're not putting no respect on the game, the name, or nothing. But like Charles did say, this tape was supposed to be, cheesy songs,
right?
But I don't think they really came off as cheesy. I get in some ways he intentionally made certain hooks, certain songs cheesy.
Yeah,
but I think overall I have to say yes, because something like Turn My Swag On, it's weird, right? Because look, if I heard Turn My Swag On at the bar, if I went out somewhere, I'm gonna sing the song, but I'm like, oh my god, oh no, like, go ahead, turn this off. But if you play Pretty Boy Swag, everyone's turning up, and it's on my swag though. That song's just infinitely much better than Turn My Swag On.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a right way of having swag. There's a wrong way of doing it, And I think if you're just trying too hard overall, it's just not going to look good. You think it looks good, but it might be nice on paper, but you're just trying too hard. Chill out, relax.
Yeah. Turn My Swag On came out in 2008, so I feel like there's maybe not as big an influence as I might be making it, but there has to be some type of a little bit of breadcrumbs in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the thing about Charles and Soulja Boy and that whole situation is, yeah, they were in a very similar bracket as far as age and like coming up. I think that their differences were in ideology, right? Where Charles was an old soul at heart, and he wanted to do things like he wanted to respect music. He wanted to respect music altogether, but also create a new genre, new hop, and all these, and this type of thing. Yeah. Where Soulja Boy wanted to make fun records,
right?
And there wasn't. The older generation was like, this isn't hip hop, But at that point, we never got to the point where it's like some of these kids just want to have fun and make music, and that's fine. right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of where that beef started. And it's like Charles took it upon himself to, you know, stand up for music and the foundation of music, I guess. And we see Soldier over the years. He doesn't like a beef or a battle that he doesn't like. like he won't answer. Like that's just his thing
Yeah.
for some reason. But yeah, I just yeah.
Once again, like I said, trying too hard. I'm not sure if you've seen it recently. And this is one of those things that we talk about on social media. Like, I don't need to know all this. Like, I was okay not knowing this, but you know how social media is. Hey, did you see this? Was it Soulja Boy and Blueface? Apparently, they're beefing now, and
Yeah.
their whole thing. Soulja Boy doing the whole, oh, do you own this? Do you got this? Do you got this type of watch? Do you have this type of?
Uh-huh.
Excuse me, sorry. Talking about all that, and it's like once again trying too hard.
Mm.
And Blueface made a good point because he's like, y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me like that. Blueface is like, bro, everybody knows you. You've been famous since you were 17. Soulja Boy's like 32, 33 now,
Yeah.
And he's like, but y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me. It's like, bro, like, no, telling me we don't know you, but we watched you grow up. We've grown up with you. So we know you. And you're trying too hard. You've
Yeah.
always tried too hard. Stop. Relax, man.
Yeah. Soldier's a funny individual, man. The next one is parentheses have, and I can't stress this enough that one, I know that this term is different now, and we don't use this term as much, which we don't use this term as much. But the name of the song is called Midget Mobile. That's the name of the song, right?
Yeah.
And a list of like bad words that you can't use respectfully. I just feel like this one's lower on the not to compare words, but that's my explanation for saying this word as the title.
Right, I got you. Yeah, we obviously back then a lot of things we would say and didn't really think about. I personally, if I was a shorter person, I would definitely get offended by someone calling me fun size. Those are fighting words. Personally, I'd probably rather you call me the other one, honestly. But
I would actually grab a step ladder and slap you.
On some hornswoggle
Yeah.
type ish. You feel me?
But what did you think about the song?
With this song, it's an okay song. One of the things I've noticed ever since we started this whole podcast, a lot of disco 70s samples and whatnot. And Charles has always talked about not letting funk die. I kind of like I listen to it and I'm like, all right, but I definitely have that vibe and that groove and that bop where I listen to it. It's a good song, Nothing too noticeable about it other than the name, but it's okay song. Like I don't have anything really negative to say about it. I don't have anything super outstanding to say about it. I love the sample, the classic Boogie Oogie Oogie sample, but other than that, I'm like, it's an okay song. It's all right.
Yeah, I think I appreciate it a little bit more today than I did back then. But I think I'm still the same. It's an okay song. Yeah, it's just okay. It's just okay. Good verses, decent verses. But yeah, Vertical Horizon, that's funny. It's a funny little thing there. But yeah, it's an okay song. I could see someone liking that song like a lot. But when I compare it to some of these other songs on here, it's in the bottom third probably.
Okay.
Along with uh
Breakups.
yes, with Breakups and the next song, which is November 10th, 2009.
Repeat that again. You said that's in your bottom three?
Yeah.
November 10th, 2009 is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my trousers, bars. So here's my thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So obviously, as you guys hear this, Charles' birthday has been passed and everything. But Charles had this blog post where he didn't make a November 10th song for this year. He's actually had a bunch of November 10th songs. I believe this was the second November 10th song. And so. I don't think he was actually planning on doing this over and over for every year. I think at the time he was like, yeah, let me just make another one. So when I first heard the song, I'm like, it's cool. I like it. It's nice. Just like it's a remix to the original, I guess you could say. Now when I listen to it, because Charles, like I said, on that old blog post he had where he said, you know what, I don't know if I want to keep making November 10th. You know, if anything, I'll leave that to someone else. If one of you guys that listen to music and you make music, if you want to make a November 10th for me, go ahead, be my guest. Personally, I don't think any of us would be able to do it justice. I would feel, you know, a little iffy if I made a happy birthday song for him. I could do a Mickey Fax like letter to Sonic. I could do something like that, make a song, you know, about him, for him, tell him that I appreciate him. But I don't think I could do a birthday one for him. Anyway, so me listening to the song now, personally, I feel like this is underrated, especially when we're comparing all the November 10th songs. If anything, I think the song's great. I really like it. I like what Charles did with the sample, especially if you heard the original song, was it Jeremiah Birthday Sex? So you take that song and then you take what Charles did with it, two completely different songs and whatnot. So it's just like, I love the way he flipped the beat and everything and what he did with it. To me, if November 10th, the original, wasn't what it was, it wasn't as iconic as the first one, I think this one will probably be everyone's favorite. Or it's somebody's, it's a lot of people's probably favorite if you don't count the first November 10th. I think it's really great. Of course, sometimes when you compare the original, is it really like, hey, I like it because it's the original, or I like it because I like it? I like both. But me listening to it now, I'm like, you know what? I probably still like the original better, but this one, close second, is very underrated. I think it's very underrated personally.
Yeah. Again, I want to make it clear I don't hate the song. I feel like that's, if I didn't like a song, I would just say I didn't like the song. It's just, again, when you're comparing these nine songs, you have to be, there's like no room for error, and then like there will be good songs that are in the second half of it. Whereas like if you're ranking top 1 to 9, there's gonna be a song that's like 4 or 5 where you're like, damn, I really like this song. But it just happens to not be better than these top 4. So
Right.
it just has to be in the bottom 3, but it's not like I hate the song, right?
Got you.
Maybe a little bit more lyrical than the first one, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more lyrical than the first one. And you're right, the flip is great. Because again, it's just fun. It's fun revisiting some of these songs because then like you hear the sample, he's like, "What song is this? I know this song," and you're like, "Oh, it's this song," but then you're like, "Oh, this was back in so and so year when I was this that," you know. So like memory start flooding back, and you're like, "Oh, let me go ahead and flush that out of my memory." You know, let's flush that out of my memory. But yeah, it's a cool song, man. It's a cool song. I'm not, again, don't hate it. But I do think that this next 3-song stretch is my favorite of the tape.
Okay.
Starting with Swagger, Outside, number 2. Fedora in the hotel or lobby? Fedora in the
Fedora
lobby.
music in the lobby.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite song of the album. I think. I'm almost positive. So are we saying this is Outside Looking's part 2? I would assume, right? Or Outside 2.
Either way, it's the same thing, you know,
Yeah.
like regardless if you want to call it Outside 2 or part 2, you know,
Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo. I had to add that in there. I had to. Listen,
You're right.
if you say 2, I'm gonna say Electric Boogaloo.
I know. You just have to. It's kind of yeah, you have to.
It's in my contract. It's in my contract, so I apologize, y'all. Sorry. Gotta do it.
But yeah, I think it blows the first one out the water, man. And that's crazy because like the first one has the Jeezy sample, so it's like it's Jeezy, you know what I'm saying? But this one way smoother, and he's just really getting his shit off, and that hook is real cool. I'm gonna ask you about the hook in a minute, but what did you think about the record overall?
So this song, I definitely consider it a sleeper track. Like I feel like there's some people that would kind of pass over it, not understand it as much. For me, I really like it. So it's one of the, I'd probably say it's probably in my like top 3. You know, definitely really like it a lot. Especially when I first heard it, I'm like, it's all right, it's cool. But I kept playing it over and over and over recently. I'm like, man, I really like it. Like I said, chill vibes. And he says at the end of his verse, he says, you know, it's just me talking shit the whole song, just talking shit. And it's funny because when I listen to it, I don't even get like outside vibes from it at all. Of course, he talks about that on a little bit in the verses, part of it in the hook and whatnot. But I I get why you say, are we calling it outside part 2 and whatnot? Because I would have just kept it as the Fedora, music lobby thing.
Yeah, Fedora in the
Because
lobby. Yeah.
yeah, I would have kept it just that name, because when I think of outside, of course I'm thinking of that tape, outside looking, and just the whole. But in that song, he's talking a bunch of shit too. But it's more like aggressively talking shit, like how he's talking about, I'm on the outside, I want in, and basically I'm gonna kick down whatever door. But in this song, it's like like you said, he had a smooth approach to it. And I'm not sure the last time you've been in a hotel lobby or any lobbies like that, but you got to pick and choose when you're moving and whatnot, because there's a bunch of people coming and going and bags being moved and everything. And it's like he's talking about, hey, I'm moving in the lobby, and then eventually I'm gonna get my way in. But it's one of those things where I really like this song. It's just I for these two, because they're so different, outside and outside too, they're so different. I hate to compare them, but for right now, I'm gonna say outside too. I really like outside too a little bit more than outside right now. It might go back and forth later on if I hear outside the first time again, but I really like the song. I feel that if you don't like this song, listen to it again. Also, the beat's fire. Beat's just crazy.
Plain matter of fact, from the heart to the sky. If I start lying, then that's when I start to die. But roll that shit, toss that shit when you finish. Nigga, this ain't dice, it's spinach to Popeye. Niggas getting bigger, bye-bye, voila. I got high in my mind, so while y'all niggas standing outside hating, I've been on the outside trying to make my way in.
I don't like it on the outside.
The hook. Especially like the first 4. I don't like it on the outside, but that's just where you found me. I spent my whole life living on the outside with everything around me. It's kind of interesting because, like, on the one hand, he's like, I don't like it on the outside, but that's where you found me. To me, that's saying like, I don't fit in a box, right? I'm not your typical artist, rapper, musician, whatever you want to call it. I'm always outside the box. People like to be, I think outside the box. I live outside the box, right? And then like I spent my whole life living on the outside with everything around me. I wonder if that's like a kind of like how, that's kind of how his Interscope deal started, or how he started, because like he was living outside, he was kind of homeless, staying at the FDA or whatever, making music or whatever, and that's kind of his version of outside, like. That's where you found me with everything around me. And now in this sense, like now I've at least moved in the lobby, right? Now I'm living in the lobby. I'm not necessarily in the hotel. I'm not in the industry, whatever, how you want to say it, but I am like a step away from it. You get it?
That's a good way of explaining that, because that makes the most sense. Of course, like you said, he had his whole thing with being homeless, not being at home, making his way, trying to figure out how he's going to get inside the lobby or get inside the business, whatever the case is. And then he found his way in. And like, of course, being in the lobby doesn't mean you got a room. If anything, he still might be trying to figure out his way in, because at any time, if they realize, okay, do you have a hotel or motel key room, or can we help you? And then if they're like, okay, you know what, you're just trespassing, you're just booted right back out. So, like I said, you have to pick it, like I said earlier, you have to pick and choose your spots or whatever. You might have to actually like slip behind and past people just so he can, get through a different back door, and might have to steal a room key or something like that so he can actually get a room or get his own room that he's looking for. But that's a great analogy. I like that.
Next up is at in parentheses Photoshop. I believe that's a Brandy sample, which
Brandy and Monica.
Okay, listen. They're two very, aggressive women. One with a gun and one with a car.
Here you go. There it is. There it is. I was waiting for it. Meet me.
Don't do that. That's crazy. No, that's crazy. You have to relax. God. Okay. You think she humped before? Never mind. Anyway,
yeah. And you said, oh, okay. All right.
I like this record. Again, a crazy beginning to the song. I'm cool in the Charles Hamilton. Top that. Call me Charles Hamilton with the top hat. Like,
Indeed.
yeah. Okay, sure. 3 good verses. Great hook, because I understand it. It ain't hard to be an ass. Well, actually, you should. It ain't hard to be an asshole, but I rap, so what's up? You rap technically, and people may or may not consider you an asshole. So,
hey, I was an asshole before rapping, so that
fair.
didn't change anything. That didn't make it any better or worse, personally. But with this song, I really like the song. I'm going to say this is top 2 for me.
Okay.
Like, I think for me, especially listening to it now, I'm pretty sure I liked the song when I first heard it, but now listening to it, I definitely feel like this is top 2. I still think this is the number 1, but I think the more I listen to this project, Photoshop might get flipped to number 1. It just depends. You know, it might depend, but love the song a lot more than I used to. Like we said, it's a Brandy and Monica sample. The Boy Is Mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the chops on it is crazy. Because the one thing I love that Charles does on these songs, not every song, but a lot of songs he does. If you see Charles with a like 5-minute song or something like that, the song overall probably might be like 3.5 minutes. Mm-hmm. But he's nice enough to actually leave some beat for people to loop and sample and flip and however they want to do it. You know what I mean? So that's so generous, because most rappers, most artists would be like, no, you can't take my beat. You can't take this. You can't take that. No, you don't rap on my stuff, whatever. If I find out you rapped on it, I'm sending you a copyright claim. But anyway, so shout out to Charles for, not doing that and letting people rap on his beats and samples. But one thing I noticed with this song, actually with this project, he's mentioned this a couple times on there. He says CHX. Did you notice that? Because it says on this song and a couple other songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not sure what the CHX stands for. I'm thinking maybe Charles Hamilton Experience, but I do remember like around this point in time, he was saying it a lot, because there's even on other projects, Charles is saying CHX. But also, it's not this song. It's like another song I heard where, Charles would mention anyone that was a Charles in music, media, TV, whatever. And I thought about Professor X, Charles Xavier, CHX. That might be another alias. That might have been the alias he was doing, like Charles Xavier, but I could be wrong.
That's fair.
I do remember hearing that on this project a lot. And I was like, I remember he had a blog post about it where he explained it, but I can't remember if it was the just Charles Hamilton Experience or if it was Charles Xavier from X-Men, but regardless, fire song. I love the chops on it. Love everything he did with it. Like I said, and the thing is, with the beat, when you actually hear the beat by itself and not Charles rapping on it, part of me is just like, if I was to rap on it, sometimes I'm like, man, I can't come up with nothing. Then you hear what he did with it. It's like, how'd you even think of that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, you're right. CHX was brought up a lot, and those are 2 good theories, and probably one of them's actually right. I always thought of because Charles is very big into Sega, right? It reminded me of the 32X. I don't know if you remember the 32X from Sega Genesis. It was an attachment basically that you put in onto your Sega and enhance the bits, and it increased the visual experience. So I'm wondering if CHX was the increased or advanced experience with Charles Hamilton, kind of going with your theory too. So that's how I always thought of CHX. It was kind of like the 32X version of Sega. But yeah, you're right. Just the chops of it are crazy on this. Great verses, great hook. I'm gonna be a brick wall, no graffiti at all. That's just, I feel like that should be somebody's caption. But yeah, it's like I say, it's top half of the tape as far as like, best songs for sure. Follow that up with All SNL. Again, this three stretch song of songs is just one of the best. Yeah. First, let's just get into the parentheses. If you look at the parentheses, it has "I do not have any swagger at all," which is hilarious because like you could have easily just called every song that. You could have just called the first song "I," You know what I'm saying? But he wanted to still, you know, have titles for these songs.
Yeah,
His swag is no swag, which is technically a swag, I guess. But SNL is a good record. Um, I don't know that sample, but another very good. What it 2 verses, right?
yeah, two
Yeah,
verses,
2 verses.
and they're like two long verses. Like it's not like just normal 16s. Like they're
Right,
longer
yeah.
than usual.
With the hook in between, killing with the niceness. Because I love it when you kill me. Gotta love it when I kill you. You take a L if you miss, but follow the curve and end up with a kiss. Yeah, it's a really good song, man. I remember, just replaying this one a lot. Yeah, what did you think?
So it's funny because for me overall, I think the song's all right.
Okay.
Um, I like the beat more than the actual song itself. I like the verses. The verses are cool, but I really love the beat. It's one of those things where I remember the song more for the beat than the verses. I know he said something near the end of the second verse where he said like just how he farted on the track and it's visceral and strange
Hmm.
or whatever. I'm like, all right, hey, I get it. I get where he was going with that, but
Hmm.
I love the hook though, just killing with the niceness, because killing with kindness also, whether you're a beat maker or you have great verses, you're a poet, a rhymer, rapper, you kill them with the niceness.
Yeah,
But yeah, overall, it's an okay track for me. I think it's all right. I'm more a fan of the beat than anything else of itself, but it's all right.
got it. Apparently the sample is Cassie featuring Ryan Leslie, "Kiss Me."
Would have never guessed. Would have
Not
never
in a
guessed.
million years, big dog.
Now after this, I'm gonna go listen to it and be like, let me find where it's. Shout out to where do you find the samples at? Or is that on Who Sampled?
So no, I'm just in the comments of the song, and somebody commented, 12 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh, Jesus. It commented and said that was a sample.
Well, shout out to whoever left that comment because some people don't always do that. And I know a lot of times if I don't find it in the actual comments itself, and then sometimes, like I said, 12 years ago, some of these tapes we're looking at are, so far back before
Yeah.
that some comments get deleted, some YouTube pages, they get deleted. So
Mhm.
sometimes you don't always see that, but there's always people on like who sampled and stuff like that actually, say, hey, this is what the sample is. So if it's not like something that was like a major like for example we talked about November 10th 2009, of course, Birthday Sex. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a big song back then, but this Ryan Leslie and Cassie song, probably not one of the biggest songs. Might have been like a deep cut on one of their albums, so it's like
Right.
if you heard one of their albums, you probably wouldn't have caught that.
Mhm.
But that's awesome. That's what's up. I definitely want to, and that's one of the things I love about music too. I like to go back and listen to what the original song is so I can be like, okay, that's where you got that from.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Closes it out with UBYIC. Do you know what that stands for?
Yeah, you don't know what it stands for? Come on, bro. Everybody knows what it is.
Go
You
ahead.
don't know
Tell.
what it stands for. No.
I know you don't. I know you don't. That's why I was
No,
like,
look,
because I was about to make something up and it was about to sound crazy.
come on, man. Everybody knows what it is.
I love that.
Everybody knows what it is.
You believe in your
Op-
Christ.
Open up your eyes and see. Sick. Open up your eyes and okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. Listen, that hook's fire. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Everybody knows what it is. That's what the hook is. Seriously.
That beat is actually what you call it though. That beat is but so when I first heard this back in 2011 or whenever it was, I must just keep saying that. It wasn't one that I playlisted. It wasn't one I was like, oh, I want to keep this or whatever. But today I have a lot more appreciation for that beat. That beat is crazy. Like I said, the hook is really good. Someone in the comments of this one, they actually posted this 2 years ago. Um, Somebody said, I guess I should give them credit. YouTube page Boom Bap Lit. You should follow us and subscribe to our channel, guy. It said UBYIC, but he spelled the words out. UBYIC
Yeah.
equals UBYI, which is Charles, equals we the fans are the reason he isn't blind and is fully Charles. And that's his reasoning. And that probably could be it based off of either his conversation with Charles or maybe he remembers a blog post. But yeah, it's a good record. Definitely like it more today than I did back then. What about you?
I've always liked the song. It's
Mhm.
one of those things that's funny because you always talked about you weren't sure of the track listing and how it came about, but I will say this: I don't remember this being at the end of the project, but I always remember coming back to this and forgetting that it's actually on this project. It's one of those things where like I would keep trying to remember what it was called, and I do remember looking at it first, being like UBYIC, UBYIC, and be like, what does that stand for? UBYIC. And then at one point I was like, oh, UBYIC. Like it's
Mhm.
probably just something as simple as that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I love, like I said, I love in the hook. He says, everybody know what it is. And
Mhm.
like sometimes simple hooks and simple verses and whatnot, it's better. Sometimes less is more. It's like I don't have to explain it. You know what it is. Y'all know what it is. Everybody know what it is. Open up your eyes and see, because it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, you know, we have these abbreviations for everything, and it's like, this is just a simple one.
Mhm.
It's not as complex as you think it is. The song has to me like a party vibe, but it's lyrical and whatnot, like with the
Yep.
verses, like he's going in with the verses, but the beat is just something that's just you can jam to.
Mhm.
So I really like this song. Very great ending. Like I just I always come back to the song. It's this is and what was the one, Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Those are like, I would say those are my top three that like, even if I wasn't to listen to the whole tape again, I
Mhm.
definitely would come back for these three, and then I might go back to like some other songs from it, but definitely great song. Great song.
Yeah. If I'm picking three that I would go back to, it's definitely outside. I accept my apology, and probably disses. Those are probably my three, and I'd be upset that I had to leave off like Photoshop and SNL.
Yeah.
Like I'd be really bummed about it. Um, but that just tells you how good the tape is to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, in 2023, man, we just listened to Charles Hampton attempt at swag. Let the people know how you feel about it today and what you were rated using our Sega Sonic system.
All right. So back in 2009, 11, wherever we're going with that, when I listened to it, good tape. I liked it. It was definitely something that I would play every now and again. Now in 2023, I appreciate it a lot more. I definitely listen to this a lot more. It's
Mhm.
funny because even before we even thought about recording this tape, at some point I randomly came back to one of these songs. I forget which one it was.
Mhm.
Probably Disses. Like I said, I was come back to that song, and then I was like, you know what? I really don't remember some of these songs from the tape. Whatever. Let me go back to it.
Mhm.
Really great project. Really amazing project. Sometimes, we talked about projects sometimes don't age as well, but this one aged like wine, I'll say.
Mhm.
9 songs on there, so it's not a crazy listen. For me, I don't think there's any like bad song on here. There's like probably like one or two I'm like, all right, they're okay. Like depending on the mood, I might skip, I might not, but I like pretty much I like every song. There's certain
Yeah.
songs I love more than others. If I was to rate this, I've been pondering this for a while
Mhm.
because I definitely think this is a must listen. This is definitely a must listen for everyone. But at the same time, I don't want to over and underrate rate the tape either.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say fuck it, YOLO, and I'm gonna give it a supersonic. I'm gonna give it a
Okay.
supersonic. I I really like the tape. I think that everyone else will really like it as well. Like I said, there's not a song on here that, like I said, that I dislike. Like there's maybe one or two songs, like I said, they're okay. But
Yeah.
the songs that I really do like and the songs that are really great on here, I think that carries it to the threshold of, photo finish. If photo finish supersonic, like on one of the last few stages, you got the last Chaos Emerald,
Mhm.
and you're going to get the good ending instead of
Right.
you being with the standard ending. So photo finish Supersonic rating, I'm leaving it at that. Real quick though, funny that you picked your 3 songs that you did,
Mhm.
because back for your 27th thing, saying 3 songs you picked.
Look at me, dog. That means I'm consistent. People be acting like I'm not consistent. I'm super consistent, Brody, bro.
Yeah, you are, man. I agree. I agree. You never seemed flaky or nothing like that. So you always come in clutch. I'll say that.
Um, Now I will say this though. Um, we talk a lot about how when we have like tapes that are shorter and there aren't as many songs, like there's very limited room for error.
Mhm.
Um, listening to it this year, like in this time frame, I didn't realize how good this tape really was as far as like how everything kind of hits. Like there really isn't any. I'll say this: there are songs that I do like more than others, and there are some where I'm like, it doesn't do it for me. Like the song doesn't do it for me. But if they're like, oh, do you want to listen to this front to back? I would absolutely do this front to back
Yeah.
because like all the songs are at the very least decent. You know, there are a lot of some of my favorite songs on here. Again, like if you said, "Oh, make a 5 song EP out of this," I would have. I accept my apology. This is swag outside, Photoshop and SNL, and would be fine. I'd be good with life. Like
Yeah.
that's a really good 5. You know, um, great raps, great hooks on here. A lot of great hooks on here, and just one of those things where even though he was trying to be cheesy, it just never felt that way, right? It felt like this is what some of y'all could do, but you choose not to, so I'm gonna do it. You know,
Right.
that's the attitude that it kind of felt like. So, you know, the rating thing is tough because again, there are so many tapes that we haven't done that I know in my mind I would have as a supersonic, and I'm trying to figure out where this lands. Because to me, this lands somewhere between a bass sonic and a supersonic, but I don't know what character I could put there in the middle, you know?
You know what's crazy? Not saying that we have to do this, but I thought about this earlier too, like I said, because I didn't want to overrate it or underrate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We kind of screwed up because we started with Supersonic, which is
Yeah.
cool. But then, we talked about this before with Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They have Hypersonic, which is
Yeah.
even better than that. You know what I mean? So the thing is, if we not saying that we can't do a Hypersonic,
Mhm.
but if we do a Hypersonic or a Super Knuckles or something like that, or
Yeah.
Super Tails or whatever, it's like, all right, then we don't have to, but it's
We
like,
have
all
to.
right, well, what do you think about certain tapes that you said before that were supersonic? Are they still supersonic?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We have to do that.
Yeah, we don't have to, but we have to. So,
Okay. I'm gonna say this, right? Because to
all right,
me, okay. One day we're gonna just go back and we're gonna do a tier ranking of all the things that we've done so far, and this will make things a lot easier.
all right,
But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say because to me, a supersonic tape is an undeniable classic, an iconic, undeniable classic, and I don't necessarily think this is an undeniable, iconic classic. I
yeah,
do think it's something that should be listed as like a cult classic, cult favorite, or whatever, but it's somewhere right in the middle. So I'm gonna say Bass Sonic. However, I'm gonna say like Sonic Mania Bass Sonic, right?
okay,
Because like that's a really great game. That's probably like either the best Sonic 2D game or the second best Sonic 2D game, depending on your, opinion of things. Like
right.
it's really, really, really good.
We're talking about Sonic with when he jumps up in the air, he has a little shield thing. He jumps twice, he has a little shield thing.
That's actually fire.
He
I
has
did, yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my thing. So this is a little bit of banter, real quick. So I get what you mean by supersonic, because of course, cult classic, very must listen to. So if we ever do come up with a hypersonic, what does that mean? We're going to say that's just perfect 10 out of 10, no skips, no, you know what I mean? That's just something to think about, you know what I mean? But like, what we going to call that?
One day we'll do a review episode and we'll go back to see where we rated things and we'll figure out if our system has changed. We need to flesh out the system first. Once we have all the characters that we think we're going to do, we'll go back and see if we still have the exact same thoughts about each one. And if we have to adjust it, we'll adjust it. Today, I'm just going to say base Sonic.
Okay.
But if I go back, I could move up to Supersonic, depending on what we do.
Okay. Real quick though. We could do what everyone else has done. Like Mortal Kombat and retcon everything. Just go back in the past and then restart over. Not saying restart the whole podcast over, but you know, Mortal Kombat, they restarted over like 3 times where it's like, okay, now we're back to Mortal Kombat 1 again. There's 3 Mortal Kombat 1s. There's the original Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 9, which is called Mortal Kombat, and then the new one that's Mortal Kombat 1. We could just do that and be like, oh yeah, we did a retcon. Yeah, don't worry about that. But Street Fighter, I think they might have kind of did like something like that, kind of, not really. Just, you know, certain games they retcon stuff. Oh yeah, remember when we did this in 1997? Yeah, forget that. That didn't happen. Something else happened. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna say base Sonic for now. Just know I think it way hot. Just know when I say base Sonic, I mean like the most top tier base Sonic you can even think of is what I'm saying. But yeah, what did y'all think about Charles Hamilton's attempt at swag, both the album and his actual attempt at swag? Let us know. You can also, you know, follow us, subscribe to the YouTube StarCHaser Central, TikTok StarCHaser Central, and X or Twitter, depending on who you are, StarCH Central. You can follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54 on Instagram, STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson. On Twitter, because I don't call it X. I'm not going to freestyle, but y'all know what's next. Flames. Yo, I'm back at it. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson. That's Mike DEE Jackson. 1 D, 2 E's. You know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. You feel me?
That's the hook. Yeah, but let us know what you want us to review next. By this time we're in 2024. I assume when this comes out. We are planning on doing some cool stuff. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your ears to the streets. Not literally, because I feel like that's not safe.
No, not at all.
Don't do that. Yeah. But leave comments, join the conversation. You know, hit us up, man, with some of your questions. And just continue to rock with us. Continue to rock with Charles and his music. Charles 2024 music is coming on the way. It's gonna be really great. And we can't wait to listen to it with y'all, man. But we are signing out of StarCHaser Central, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
I don't want no kisses. If you don't love me, you can't even blow me. Haters, it's what's for dinner.